for joining me on today's episode of the Simply Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra, and I want to increase your financial IQ while we talk a little bit about big life changes that often impact income taxes. Now, it would be silly to think about taxes first in a lot of these situations, but it is a consideration. The big 5 life changes I want to touch on are marriage, buying a house, having a child, getting a divorce, and retirement. The first thing I want to talk about is withholding. So if you're a W-2 employee, you have taxes withheld from your paycheck. How much taxes are withheld is based on what you report to your employer in terms of number of dependents and things of that nature. So you should review this when you get married, when you have a child, and if you get divorced. Because when you change your marital status or your family structure, that usually or often will have a corresponding impact on how much you should have withheld. The reason why this is important is most people, most of the time, do not want to get hit with a big tax bill. So if you have a change and you don't adjust your withholding, you could conceivably be hit with a big tax bill when you file your taxes, which we're going to broadly put under the category of that is no fun. Similarly, most people don't want to get a big refund either, because that means that you paid too much during the year and you constricted your cash flow. It's nice to get a big refund, but that means that for the year prior, you didn't have as much money as you should have because you were overpaying to the government. So keep that in mind with withholding. Also, if you are not married and you get married, your filing status is usually going to change when you file your income taxes. You are filing as an individual filer. Now you'll file jointly. So that deserves your attention because that will impact taxes. And the opposite is true upon divorce, because if you were filing married jointly, then get divorced, the opposite happens. Now you're filing individually. But like the case with getting married, you want to be aware that this will impact your taxes. Also, with getting married or getting divorced, for females, that also means often a name change. You should notify the Social Security Administration about your name change. Now, I know for women, this is a pain in the neck when they get married or divorce if they opt to change their name, because it means changing your license and maybe your business card, and your whole world kind of changes because of the name change. But you should notify the government and the Social Security Administration as well. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about is doing a tax forecast. When you retire, a lot changes. One of the many changes I want you to think about and plan for, and this is work we do to help our clients, is to do a tax forecast, to estimate in retirement, including the first year of retirement, an estimate of your income and what your tax liability is going to be. You will likely have an idea of how much you're going to get from Social Security, from investments, maybe a pension, maybe real estate investment income, whatever, but to do a tax forecast, because often your tax bracket, your tax situation changes notably in retirement. Not always, but often. So big life changes often impact taxes. It's not something to think about on day one necessarily, but we do want to encourage you to be aware of this so you're not hit by any surprises and you're planning appropriately. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Simply Financial Podcast. I'll be back with you very soon for the next episode. But in the meantime, please subscribe to the podcast. I would appreciate that. Thanks for listening today.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of Osaic Wealth, Inc., and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of information provided at these websites. Nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to or your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management Services, LLC, not affiliated with Osaic Wealth, Inc.